This is a comparison of the original Game Boy, the Nintendo Game Boy Advance SP, the Nintendo DS Lite, and the Nintendo 3DS. First off, I'm going to compare the look of them on the outsides and inside. The Game Boy, as you can see, is, well, it has a very box-like shape. It is a rectangle, but it's very box-like and square. It's very well, it doesn't look high-tech per se. The powers at the top here but it's out of power, so you can't see any difference. That's the control pad, so if you've played any of the other handheld games, then you probably know what that does. Now, there's only two buttons here, A and B. They haven't even thought of an extra two of the XY yet. There's the start and select buttons here, and they do what they're meant to do. They go to the menu for start, and select is basically the same as A. On the side here, there's a cable adapter, well, USB slot basically, and that's where you put the cable in, and that's how you connect one Game Boy to another. Unfortunately, I don't have one, so I can't show you how to slot in. And there's a volume here, a volume slider. Here is where the games would slot in. So, as you can see, they're quite big, or they would be quite big. I'd say about the height of the stylus, but yeah, that's all I can say about that one. Moving on into the future, the Nintendo Game Boy Advance SP. On the outside, it really is a box, just a square. It doesn't look very impressive, apart from, really, if it was new, it would have a nice intricate design here. The power button slider is here, so you can turn that on and turn that off. On the other side, a volume slider to make the sound higher or lower. On the back, a charger adapter, and like the Game Boy, a cable adapter plug, so you can fit a cable in there and connect to Game Boys. Inside, as you can see, it's reasonably bright. I'll say about a level 1, maybe 2 on the 3DS. Or when you open it and start it, it goes straight to the game, so there's no menu on this one. On the screen, it's just the game. It's reasonably big. I think it's something like a 2.6 centimeter screen. On the, I'd say, body of the Game Boy, there's another AB 2 button configuration, a brightness button. It only has two settings, which are bright and not bright. So as you can see, there's a big difference, but I would recommend, if you have one, which you'll do what I do and probably just keep it on bright. The same button configuration, D-pad thing you get in all the games, left, right, up, down. That's the voice sound thing. I don't know what to call it, but it means you can hear it. And the start and select buttons, which do what they're meant to do. As you could see on the game, if you're looking closely, it started it. Moving on to a relatively more up-to-date, the Game Boy, no, sorry, not Game Boy, the DS Lite. That's the second one to come out. The first one was the original DS. I think it came out in 2005. I'm not quite sure, but the reason why it is called a DS is because of the double screens. As you can see here, two screens, double screens, DS. Sorry, the screen's a bit broken, so just, yeah, there we go. On the inside of the screen, it's what you would expect. There's the sound speakers. Here is the personal message or name you can put. So right here, I put "I'm great" because, you know, I like to be a little bit cocky at times and self-centered, I guess. You can also personalize the color. So I've got it as dark blue. It shows the time here, the date. I don't really know what that is, and the power. That's at the top. In the middle of the screen, there's an analog clock and a calendar. So that can be very useful if you want to know the time and the date without looking at the top. It's just there, easily to understand. On the bottom screen is the menu. So I don't know if you can see that. There's the game option. Sorry. There's the pt.1 option here, which lets you talk and communicate with other people who have DS's and DS Lites. The DS download play, which lets you again communicate with other DS's, but essentially play demos of the games if it allows it. There's also a timer clock here, and I've forgotten what that does. There's a settings button here at the bottom, and that means you can change the personal data on top, really. And there's a lighting button here, so you can make it lighter and darker. I think there's 6, maybe 5 settings to it, but it has a degree of lightness, and it's good. Okay, moving on to the very recent time of the Nintendo 3DS, which you would have seen my review, which you can see my review on my channel. Because I've already talked about it, I won't go into much detail of what it can do. I'll just point out the main features again and the differences. So there's the inner camera there that can take photos, and that's not present on any of the other handheld consoles of Nintendo, no matter which one you look at. There's the 3D slider settings, so the 3D indicator there tells you that it's either on or you are able to use it, and that's what the 3D looks like. I don't know if you can see it, but oh well. On the other screen, it's blue, well, the colour's blue, and it's black at the top. I forgot to mention that. But there's the A, B, X, Y button configuration, which is present on the DS up to the 3DS. The power button, which is the same as, or roughly the same, I think, as the DS one. I think the DSi might have a power button inside, I'm not quite sure. The circular D-pad here, so very precise movements, very easy to do, and as you can see the sound's on. I won't talk about the menu because you can look at that on the review. And if I close it, the main features are the 2 cameras at the bottom, there, and they allow 3D photos, not videos though, which is a shame, because I think the 3DS would get even more buyers if there were a 3D video option. On the back there's a game card slot which can fit 3DS games and DS games. Those are the only things. A stylus slot for this stylus, this one, and a charger plug slot thing. There's also the L and R camera buttons, so that allows you to take a picture by pressing those. Really, I'd say the biggest step that Nintendo has taken with the 3DS is allow SD cards to be put in, so you can store extra data, and I find that very useful for games and things, so you can have even more data. And it's kind of like the Wii's SD card, a little bit smaller, but it does the same job. It just means you can store lots of extra data if need be when you're playing games, so you don't lose it. Well, as you can see here, at the front there's a